I'm going to tell you every single step I took from getting my first camera to becoming a professional commercial photographer with an agent who shoots worldwide campaigns, and all the stages I went through on the way, so that hopefully it can either reassure you or it can help you understand what it is you need to do to jump to the next step. Now, this is going to seem like a gross simplification of things. And what is important to know is that it doesn't happen quickly. This here timeline runs from 2009 until today. It is a long period of time. Tears were shed, holes in walls were kicked and punched, general chaos ensued, and I made a lot of bad decisions along the way. It takes time. You can probably do it quicker than I did. I'm a slow learner, but this is what. Now, like many of you, I got a camera because I was at a loose end. I had time to kill and I needed something to do. This is 2009. I just had a particularly bad moment in my life and things were not going well. I should also preface, I don't come from money. My dad worked in a factory. I don't have a trust fund. There is no cash injection here. This is just how I managed to make it work. I started off with a £200 Bronica ETRSI. It's a film camera. It's all I could afford. In 2009, I couldn't afford a digital camera, but thankfully, my lovely Uncle John lent me his Canon 450D and I bought a 28mm lens. Off I went photographing the world. So we shot film, we shot digital, and I just photographed things I saw. I knew I wanted to be a photographer, but I knew nothing about the industry. I didn't know how to make money, so I was just taking pretty pictures, and off I went on my merry way doing this until about 2010. Now, within that point, I shot a magazine cover, but it gives a false representation of what was going on there. Somebody double booked themselves. I shot the magazine cover. I didn't know what I was doing, but it makes it sound like I got a camera, shot a magazine cover. We'll ignore that. That was purely happenstance, and I had no skill whatsoever. But 2011, I started shooting weddings because I was the person who had a camera that people knew, and I was shopping out £400 weddings, cheap as chips, and the quality, it kind of related to that. And we went along doing this in some portrait sessions, like £100 for a family portrait. Nothing fancy, but I was making a bit of cash. And I was banking that cash because I had a day job. I didn't dive straight in. We had a day job. I was banking that cash to buy gear, and I bought my first camera, which I owned, which was the Canon 50D and a Sigma 18-50 2.8 zoom lens, the old kind. And off I went, and I continued to work. Maybe by 2012, 2013, I was sort of charging £1,000 for a wedding, maybe £250 for a portrait sitting or a band photo shoot. I'd bought myself a couple of 5D Mark IIs and I still had a day job. Didn't have a studio, didn't have any fancy kit like that. We were just shooting weddings and portraits. And this started to snowball until around, I think, 2014 when I quit my job. That was the last time I was in employment. And the difference which happened here was I was so active on social media. I was shooting every single day. I was constantly uploading stuff. I seemed busy. I was getting busier and busier. And I got my first commercial client, Premier Drums. I shot some Premier Drums adverts. Very pleased with them. We built a set and I got a studio. Basically, they said, do you have a studio? And I stupidly said, yes, I do. I did not. So off we went. We rented a studio space out on a 12-month lease. And in I went, with no money. We were shooting speed lights. We had a wall of AA chargers. It was nothing like this setup here. I'd got 4 Yongnuo speed lights, a one seamless white paper roll. I'd got my PC, which cost me £400, my 5D Mark IIs, and I was making money. We were doing special headshot days. We did them on Eventbrite. It was 50 quid a headshot. You booked in, you paid, you just turned up, got your headshot, off you went. There's lots of that sort of work, high volume. Still doing the odd advert. I probably shot 5 or 6 local magazine covers, a couple of editorials for bigger magazines like The Fly, The NME, that sort of thing. Had a few bits in magazines and national magazines and newspapers, but nothing major. And then in 2016, I moved into this place here. This place here, 2016, was just a warehouse. The floor wasn't painted. The office didn't exist. It was an open plan warehouse. I moved in here with some friends. It didn't last very long, and I took over things because I was I'm quite driven. And I wanted to make this work. And I started to shoot food. It was one of the reasons I moved in here was so we could have a kitchen. So we have a kitchen just yonder. And I wanted to shoot food. We started shooting food in here and we shot our first couple of worldwide campaigns for 2 or 3 different agencies. Not London agencies, local agencies. I say local, not local to Leicester. One was, but the other 2 were Birmingham and Rugby. And we started shooting these bigger campaigns. We started getting bigger money. And I got an agent because I was struggling with the workload. I didn't get a top agent, but I got a good agent. And that agent helped me all the way up until 2019. So this span here of me shooting reasonably large campaigns. I'd basically reached what I thought was my dream. I'd got to a point where I was shooting adverts, you'd see them on the billboards, you'd see them on websites. And I was like, this is great, I've made it. This is exactly what I wanted to do. And of course, as with everything in life, you then see the next step. So I saw what I was doing and I was like, this is cool. Why am I not getting these jobs over here? Aha. These people have these top agents. These people have these beautiful portfolios of personal work. I need to make that adjustment. I need to move myself from solid national photographer to that level. What is it I need to do? And this is the point where my career really took off. And this is the point where people think I became a photographer. They don't see 2009 to 2019. There's 10 years in there of me slogging away, doing that daily work, doing those small jobs, like really like each year would rack up 150,000 shutter actuations on each camera body easily. You know, we were burning through cameras. I had like five 5D Mark IIs at this point on rotation because we were shooting portraits, headshots, adverts, weddings, the lot. And I'm sure you can relate to this. We're just doing everything. I needed so much kit. We needed the 1740, 2470, 70-200 for one set of jobs. We needed the 24, 35, 50, 85, 135 for another type of jobs. We needed separate camera bodies, separate lighting systems, location lighting, studio lighting. It was a nightmare. I've only just got rid of most of that kit. There was just gear everywhere because we were shooting everything. And then COVID happened. And I shot a portfolio, and I've made a video about this. I'll pop it somewhere around. I shot a portfolio of what I wanted to be doing. I just had a bit of a midlife crisis, let's call it, where I went, I like pop art, I like this, I want to be doing the following things. Let's shoot that portfolio and see what we can do with it. I shot it, I sent it out to every photo agent in the UK, and they all got back to me. Pretty much, not all of them, a lot of them. Started going to meetings with them. I narrowed it down to 5 or 6 agents I'd like to work with, went to the meetings, chose my agent, signed with my agent. And from that point, things have gone swimmingly well. And people go, oh, yes, you signed release and all of this. This is the easy part. This part here, the majority of the work is done. And of course, like the true elitist that I am, I can now see the next step along, and now I'm trying to get there. Despite the fact I reached my goal some years ago, I've now seen something shinier further up the road. I'm trying to move to that point now. But what people don't see is that 10-year slog of mistakes, shooting the wrong things, shooting it in the wrong way, charging the wrong prices. All of these things that people get so worried about, making these mistakes, is fine. You have to make those mistakes. You have to go through it. You have to be in the trenches doing the work before you can make it to those higher levels. And of course, some people, they get a camera, they get a top agent, and they go and shoot stuff. They're just naturally gifted, naturally brilliant. I am not naturally gifted. I work for what I have. I wish I was naturally talented. If you see my early images, you'll know what I'm talking about. But I work for what I do. I understand what it is I'm trying to do, but it takes me work. It takes me effort and time. And those 10 years, the amount of times I nearly quit and then found out the week later, I just made the next step. And I see these things it's like a levels game, isn't it? It's like we do level 1, then we get to level 2, level 3. Every time I felt like quitting, the second I went, no, we'll give it a bit longer, I moved to that next level. And I think that's a great lesson in photography and trying to become a professional photographer. It's amazing how close you are to striking gold every time you quit. It's amazing how near you are to making that next big leap just before you quit. So if you're sitting there thinking, I think I'm done, I think I'm exhausted, I can't do it, just give it another go. Give it that extra little bit just to see if you are just around the corner of the next level. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.